Hey, Kilted Warrior here. Hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe if you enjoy the content, and if you want to see more videos covering Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Mass Effect, Baldur's Gate, and of course Starfield, which is just around the corner, be sure to check out the channel. Otherwise, let us begin. Cyrodiil, Cyrod, the seat of sundered kings, the home of empires. Here, Saint Alessia would forge a nation, tempered in the fires of oppression that would remake the world, through steel, discipline, and faith in the divines. The Imperials, the true heirs of the dragon, would shine his light upon the world. His red legions would stand firm against his enemies, both in Oblivion and in Mundus. Through the ages, these stalwart people would unite mortal kind, through fire and blood, by his law, his will, and by the divines. And though in time their light, his light, would be pushed back by the darkness from within mortal kind, these builders of empires might yet rise again.
When the next Elder Scroll is written, you shall be its scribe. The shape of the future, the fate of the Empire. These things now belong to you.
The Tamrielic Empire, an empire like no other. Tamriel's history has had many great empires, even among humans, including the First Empire of the Nords, the Redguard Empire, while the Myr had the Durrani hegemony dominating High Rock, as well as the Aldmeri Dominion in its various forms. Yet it was the folly of another, the Ayleid Empire in Cyrodiil, once mighty and spreading as far as Hammerfell, Elsewhere, and even Blackmarsh, Argonia. This empire's callous disregard for the lives of mortals, particularly the Nedic people of Cyrodiil, and the worship of the most infamous of the Daedric princes, awakened something. For their cruelty and arrogance, the Heartland High Elves awoke the dragon. They awoke an empire. For the Imperials of Cyrodiil, a nation formed in rebellion against oppression, would not only create a new religion that would spread throughout Tamriel, but also an empire, an imperial administration that would eventually become the first true superpower, unmatched in its splendor, its power, and in time would subjugate even the haughty High Elves. Yet it was marked by multiple incarnations throughout the eras, with ascendancy and decline throughout its history, yet like its patron god would endure and hold back its enemies, even at terrible cost. Join me as we chart the history of the greatest empire in Tamriel's history, from its origins in the Alessian slave rebellion, the rise of Raymond, and its zenith under the Septims, as well as its crises of the Fourth Era, and analyse its importance in history and consider what the future might hold for that greatest of empires. The rise of Alessia and the First Empire. The Imperials of Cyrodiil, of the Nedic group of Tamriel's humans, had lived within what would become known as Cyrodiil for many generations, yet the Ayleids would eventually arrive during the Merethic era, after Topol the Pilot had first charted the region. The Aelids would found several city-states and take control of much of the province and enslave the Needs that had dwelled there. The oppression the Needs suffered was long and truly callous, with the most insidiously cruel states having their infamous flesh gardens. The Heartland High Elves courted disaster by making pacts with the denizens of Oblivion, venerating the most despicable of the Daedric princes. Eventually, the Aedra would answer the prayers of the oppressed. A Nedic slave named Alessia, hailing from the Aelid city of Sardavar Lead, south of what would become known as Lake Rumar. She would pray to the Aedra, and Akatosh in particular, and eventually in a place that would become the sacred city of Sanctor, she would supposedly receive visions, free visions from the Aedra. She saw the Nedic peoples of Cyrodiil rising against Aelid tyranny. She saw champions joining her cause. First Era 242. The legendary Alessian slave rebellion, led by the so-called slave queen Alessia, began, with the blessings of the divine, with Kinrith's son and champion Morhaus, the father of Minotaurs, joining the cause. After a night, a divine crusader, Shore's champion, Pellinal Whitestrake, would enter her camp covered in Aelid blood. With her champions, a slave army, Breton and Nord mercenaries, the divines and sympathetic Aelid kings at her side, they would wage a year-long campaign that would see a number of victories for the Alessians, culminating in the siege of the White Tower, where legends claim that Pellinal Whitestrake fought and slew Meridia's champion Umaril the Unfeathered, before seemingly being killed himself, as the wounded champion was torn asunder by vengeful Aelid kings, though rumours abound if whether one of the Ada could be killed by normal means. Yet with the taking of the White Gold Tower, the official rebellion succeeded in First Era 243, with Alessia being crowned the first Empress of the Cyrodiilic Empire. The First Empire had been born. It would not be the end of the conflict between the Needs, now known as the Imperials, and the Aelids, with the notable siege of Bravil in the south, where the now Empress Alessia marched her army, and would succeed with the assistance of an intelligent centurion named Teo Bravilius Tassus, who after the army suffered several ambushes by Aelid forces, despite their city having been abandoned each time as the Alessians tried to counterattack, until this officer had realized that the Aelids, as masters of alteration magic, had used it to hide underwater and even levitate to hidden places out of sight of the Imperials within the city. After being made aware of this, the army would then quickly be able to dispatch the Aelid forces, and the Empress would elevate Bravilius, and he would become the founder of the city of Bravil, as it was named in his honour. It would effectively be the end of serious resistance against the new empire in Cyrodiil, as many of the old Aelid nobles would be allowed to rule as vassals under the new Empress, allowing continuity, while also consolidating its connection to the divine, with the covenant between Akatosh and mortal kind being sealed, with the Amulet of Kings becoming the symbol of the authority of the Empire and the Divines. Yet the fate of the Aelids remaining in Cyrodiil, as well as the covenant, would be brought into question, with the many myths of the true origins of the amulet, the nature of Alessia's visions, and the true nature of the dragon god being remade by a prophet named Maruk, an Imga who would change the empire that had started with Alessia. The Alessian doctrines and the fall of the First Empire. Following Saint Alessia's death, her bloodline would continue to rule for a time, yet the line of Alessia and the burgeoning First Empire would be overshadowed by a militant, zealous, and most brutal order that would become known as the Alessian Order, which in time would become synonymous with the First Empire and would effectively guide it through its harsh doctrines, and would arguably be its eventual downfall and be the catalyst for the next stage of the Empire's history. Yet what are the Alessian doctrines? Why are they so important for understanding the First Empire? Well, Alessia sought to create an empire inspired by the Aedra and exclude the Daedra that had once aided their oppressors. The religion that would become known as the Eight Divines was very much in flux, and the people of Cyrodiil, now known as the Imperials, were forming a new national and religious identity. And an infamous individual known as the Prophet Maruk would create a shift in the First Empire to a new stage of dogma, ruthless fanaticism, and eventually an empire bent on what it believed was a holy war to spread their doctrines throughout Tamriel. Maruk would create a series of doctrines that would seek to guide the new religion and empire with the infamous belief that all are guilty until they have proven themselves innocent, yet also the more understandable direct outlawing of Daedric worship. It was a transformational belief system that would lead to the consolidation of the religion known as the Eight Divines. Rising to power in the 361st year of the First Era, the Order would spread throughout Tamriel, gaining traction among some Nords, including High King Borgas, before the legendary Wolfhearth would then ban it. Yet it also spread among the Bretons, but it was adamantly opposed by the Elves in Valenwood, the Aelids who were now targets of the Order, and the Direni of High Rock, who would take in some of the Aelids fleeing persecution, including the legendary last king of the Aelids. Yet the Order was strong, and advanced seemingly inexorably to some, yet its end would come in the form of the War of Righteousness from within the Empire and the people of Colovia. For the free-spirited people of West Cyrodiil had long chafed under the doctrines and would lead a righteous war against the Order from within Cyrodiil itself. This was echoed 2 millennia earlier by the actions of Rislav the Righteous of Skingrad, Count of Kavach, whose brother was said to have been a Maruk priest who gave up his family's land and titles, that of the independent kingdom of Skingrad, as he intended to cede it to the Order formally. Rislav resisted, and like him 2,000 years later, the fiercely independent Colovian estates would fight the Order and would topple it, leading to its dissolution in the First Era, year 2331. Almost 2,000 years of domination had ended. Yet, what did the Order, and by extension the First Empire, achieve? And what consequences would it have for Tamriel's history? One empire ends, and another begins. The First Empire had ended Aeliad dominion over Cyrodiil, and gave birth to a nation, yet it was fractured at its core, and their pursuit of the near extinction of the Aelids was infamous. It led to the creation of the system of religious beliefs known as the Eight Divines that would come to dominate religious belief across all of humanity and would have Akatosh at the core of the empire going forward. Yet the same sect of priesthood would push the Order's doctrines that would supposedly cause the Middle Dawn dragon break, as they attempted to make Akatosh free of elven influence or corruption, and in doing so inspire the infamous Mana Marco to assist Molag Bal in causing another dragon break that would lead to the plane melt crisis, the Soul Burst. In the end, its own dogma would divide the Imperials, as East and West would fight each other over the carcass of the First Empire. Yet for the First Empire, the first human great power of Central Tamriel, this was just the beginning. For even when there is division, there is the opportunity to unify. Yet that requires a unifier, and could perhaps transition the potential of the Imperials from a regional great power to a superpower. Yet who might lead this endeavour to unite humanity? Who has the blessing of the dragon and the divines? Whitestrake proclaimed a name: Raymond. Next time, we shall explore the rise of the Second Empire under the legendary Raymond Cyrodiil, chart his conquests, the humbling of the Akaviri Dragon Guard, and the eventual transition to the Potentate, and the consequences of the coming interregnum. I hope you enjoyed this first part of what will be likely a 3 or 4 part series, possibly 5. I haven't decided exactly how I will split particularly the Third Empire. I think I will split it into the Septon and Mede dynasties. Also, I am considering making the interregnum its own video. Regardless, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to know when the next part will be released. And remember, the question of the day is, which is your favourite nation or empire in Elder Scrolls and why? It can be great or small. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Otherwise, please stay safe, have a great day, and thanks for watching.